Now we all know that the Redmi Note 7's camera in India was downgraded from the Chinese version, though the pricing was more or less the same. Now in today's video, let's see how the Indian Redmi Note 7's cameras compare with the Chinese Redmi Note 7. And here's the twist. We're also going to be pitting the Indian Redmi Note 7's cameras against last year's Redmi Note 6 Pro's optics. Now this phone, after recent price cuts, is priced 1000 rupees lower than the Redmi Note 7. So let's see how these compare. Hey guys, Ash here from C4 eTech and let's get started. If you do end up liking this video, please don't forget to turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon. So first, let's start with the Indian and Chinese Redmi Note 7s under good light. Initially, they look similar except for some detail in the shadows. Zoom in and you can see that the Chinese version is a lot cleaner. The image has less noise, it's just cleaner. There's more detail. It is worth noting that the Redmi Note 7 China uses a f1.8 lens compared to the f2.2 on the Indian version, and that's evident here by the blurring of the background. Zoom in and the Chinese variant has a tad more detail here. Look at the center of the flower to get what I'm saying. The Chinese version also has better colors and dynamic range. For example, the sky here looks a lot better, and it also manages to retain more detail in the shadows. Remember, the Samsung ISOCELL GM1 on the Chinese Redmi Note 7 is capable of 48 megapixel interpolated shots. So turn that mode on and the detail levels are so much better. Just look at that door, it blows the Indian Note 7 away. Now under low light, the ISOCELL GM1 has larger 1.6 micron sized pixels compared to 1.25 on the Indian unit. So the images are brighter and more detailed. Now the Chinese version also happens to have a dedicated night mode which pushes this difference even more. The Indian variant, at least as of now, does not have a dedicated night mode. Now of course, Camera 2 API is enabled on both phones, so we tried using night sight with Gcam, and as you can see, the Chinese variant still did perform better. It's still brighter, there's more detail, and the images shot with the Indian Redmi Note 7 ended up a little bit more blurry. Okay, so these are all things we expected, right? The Chinese Redmi Note 7, it's gonna outperform the Indian Redmi Note 7. That was a given. But what about the Redmi Note 6 Pro? Well, under good light, the Note 7 has better colors. The Note 6 Pro has a tendency to warm up images, and I'm glad to see Redmi has fixed that with the Note 7. Now here you see the wider aperture leading to a shallower depth of field. The Redmi Note 6 Pro uses a f1.9 lens. The Indian Note 7, as we saw, has a f2.2. The Note 6 Pro also has much better dynamic range. Just look at the shadows on the shot. Even with the highlights, the Note 6 Pro hangs on to more detail. Again in this image, see the extra amount of detail that the Redmi Note 6 Pro captures in the shadows and the highlights. Moving on to low light, neither phone has a dedicated low light mode. Do note that the Note 6 Pro has a couple of advantages here. One, it's got larger pixels, 1.4 microns compared to 1.25. It also has a wider aperture lens as we've seen. So the resulting images are brighter. Now the Note 6 Pro does not have support for Camera 2 API, well the Note 7 does. So we did a Note 7 Gcam versus Note 6 Pro here, and as I said earlier, the Indian Note 7, the images do end up getting a little blurry easily with night sight, but it does produce the brighter image. When I posted about this on Twitter, some of you guys pointed out how the Pro is a different line and the regular Redmi Note shouldn't be expected to perform better than the last Pro edition. Now here's the thing guys, the Chinese Redmi Note 7 does happen to be much better than the Redmi Note 6 Pro's cameras. The Chinese Redmi Note 7 sells for only a few hundred rupees more than the cost of the Redmi Note 7 in India. Now, if you think that's because of taxes and everything, that's why Xiaomi had to, or rather Redmi had to downgrade the cameras, well, think about this for a minute. In Europe, Redmi has now launched the Redmi Note 7 for about 11,000 rupees, 249 euros. Okay, it's higher than India, right? But this is the thing, all European prices are generally much higher than India. Even brands that are trying to be super competitive. For example, the OnePlus 6T starts at 44,000 rupees in Europe, but 38,000 rupees in India. Xiaomi's own other sub-brand, Poco. The Poco F1 starts at 26,000. It launched at 26,000 in Europe, but it launched at 21,000 rupees in India. So if Redmi are able to get the 48 megapixel Note 7 to Europe for 11,000, I can't help but feel a little disappointed that we are left with downgraded cameras here in India, especially when Redmi runs ads on MIUI in India and not in Europe, further increasing their profit margins here. Now, don't get me wrong, the Redmi Note 7 is an overall improvement from the Note 6 Pro, the Snapdragon 660, this glass build. It's all great. It's a great phone to buy as of now, but the camera is definitely a downgrade, and Redmi just managed to kind of sneak it into the launch event. They didn't really talk about the Note 7's cameras at all. They just kept talking about the Note 7 Pro's cameras, and for some reason the Note 7 is the first Redmi Note that Xiaomi aren't sending out review units for. At least not right now, and that got me super interested in doing these tests and seeing what is it that they're trying to hide. So anyway, let me know what you think about the downgraded camera in the comments below. And I guess that's it. Thumbs up if you found this video interesting. Thumbs down if you think somebody paid me to do this video, which I'm pretty sure there are going to be some Mi fans who say that. I mean, that happens all the time. Say something nice about Xiaomi, then Xiaomi paid me. Say something, point out something about a brand, then it's like the competition paid you. Whatever. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon. Thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, my name's Ash. You've been watching C4 Retech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.